Hello everybody, this is Howard, the Teaserking, coming to you with week 16 of the NFL. Now it's when it gets very interesting and pretty much more predictable. You know the teams by now. There's no surprises. Teams like San Francisco, who were like championship level last year, are not. And you know, in the beginning you get a little burnt by them. You go, oh, that's still San Francisco. But as you get on with the year, their trends start changing. And this is where it becomes the art of the handicap, because you know the trends are X and then the trends change to Y. And you have to pick up that trend change and not get burnt too much going with the trend that's changing, and now it's really a go against trend. I'm going to give you an example right off the bat. Let's look at San Diego, San Francisco. San Francisco would be a great team to play the last few years. You would just bet them, especially at home. If this was last year, Frisco's laying 2 to San Diego, you'd be taking Frisco. You wouldn't even need a teaser, and you'd be locking the game. Now, the trend changed. Frisco's a bet against home favorite. What does that mean? When they're at home, they're not blowing anybody out. They're lucky to win. And if you took the dog when they're favored at home, it's 13-1 the last 14. That's what you're looking for, and that's what you have to catch. It's hard to catch them the first 3 or 4 weeks when the trend's changing. Now the trend has changed. Now you understand that. So let's look at that first game. San Diego, San Francisco. San Francisco out of the playoffs. Harbaugh clearly going to Michigan. San Diego needs the game. Yeah, they got some injuries. You got to be careful. Keenan Allen's out. Ryan Matthews, I don't know if he's playing. He's terrible anyway, so I don't care if he plays. And their defense is strong. Kaepernick's terrible. He's one of the worst quarterbacks out there. And Gore's got a concussion. I don't know if he's playing. Carlos Hyde's hurt. I don't know if he's playing. Bowman's never made it back. So you got a lot of injuries on Frisco. There's no motivation. The team's out of the playoffs. It's a home game, but it's not like college where it's the last home game. So I like San Diego and the points in this one. San Diego's a very good road dog. San Francisco's a very weak home favorite, as we've talking. And that's what you're looking for. San Diego needs the game. They're still available in the playoffs. They can get to 10 wins. And until Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Baltimore get to 11, which may or may not ever happen, you got the, you know, so as long as San Diego can get to 10, get in the playoffs, they're motivated. It should be a, you know, pretty close game. San Diego doesn't usually blow out, but they'll hang in there with Rivers and Gates. Those are the two key players as long as they're playing. So absolutely take San Diego in the points there. You got a lot of good playoff teams and playoff games trying to clinch. So the lack of the upset is there. Last week Green Bay got upset by Buffalo, but Buffalo was still a playoff team, and they still are now if they win out and get some luck. So it's not that unprecedented. Now Green Bay must win. It's not like Green Bay week 4 where they lose to somebody and everybody's scratching their heads. Well, we just weren't ready. Now the teams are ready. It's a playoff game. You're getting the best from these teams. It makes the betting a lot better. However, there's a little more risk because then Vegas adjusts the spreads. So if we look at the Green Bay Tampa game, which should be a 7-point spread, 10 going to 12 or 13. So I just be careful with this. Don't lay too many points. I wouldn't lay more than a touchdown, even though it's Tampa. It's NFL. They're on the road. Tampa's still not terrible. Green Bay should win it easily, but I'd rather be laying 2 than, it's a whole different bet. Green Bay laying 8 down to 2 versus Green Bay laying 11 or 12 down to 5.5, 6, 6.5 in the pros. So this isn't, Alabama playing, Tennessee or something. So you've got to be careful with that. I don't like to lay a lot of points here. It's a must-win for Green Bay, obviously, but it's still the NFL, and I don't like to lay that much with a road favorite like this. You must be careful. The road favorites is the most dangerous. It's probably where more losses happen in the teaser in the betting world than anywhere else. The home favorite, they win. The home dog and the road dog, okay, the dogs are good, but You got to watch that road favorite, so just be careful of that. Yeah, take Green Bay, but very small. I don't like the line, and I'm waiting for them to be laying 4 or 5 to Detroit, and then I'm going to bet the farm on Green Bay over Detroit next week. So there's a spot to play Green Bay. This isn't it. This is a very careful. Miami laying 7 to Minnesota. Why would I talk about this game? It's not a playoff game. Well, simply because Minnesota's a really good play here. Minnesota, you get 7, so you kick it up to 13, 12 and a half. Minnesota's playing very well. Miami doesn't blow out anybody. I don't think the weather's going to bother Minnesota. A little bit the heat, but I just think this will be a close game. I think Minnesota's playing well. I like their defense. Should be a defensive battle. I'm not crazy about Tannehill. Everybody says how great talent Miami has. I don't like their coach, and I don't like their quarterback. Those are the 2 keys to winning. So take Minnesota in the 12 and a half. Detroit at Chicago, another playoff implication game. Again, Detroit. I got Detroit laying 3 or 4 here. Spread comes out 6.5. Now it's up to 8.5, 9. Be careful. Do not lay more than a field goal with Detroit. You cannot trust them. They're not a playoff-ridden team. See, just because a team needs the game for the playoffs, if they've never been there before and they don't have the experience of winning and being in the playoffs, they're probably not going to win, and they're probably not going to cover because they never have. That's why they're not a playoff team. Yeah, Green Bay's made the playoffs. Seattle's made the playoffs. New England, Denver. These are teams you can try. They need the game. They're going to make it. That's what they do. Detroit, be careful with. I wouldn't lay more than 3 points, 2.5 points, 3 points tops. Spread goes to 10. I wouldn't bet them. I don't care who's quarterbacking the Bears. Bobby Douglas could be the quarterback. I'm not gonna lay more than 3 with the Lions. Now, I've already got mine in at 7. I'm laying 1. And you got to look at the line. The line's critical. If I give a pick out, you got to realize it's at a certain point spread, and when that point spread gets changed from a 2, where you're laying 2 to a laying 4 or 5, you can't. It's better. It's less risk. Let's look at this as risk and reward. It's a lot less risk laying 2 than laying 4, especially with a team like Detroit at Chicago. You've got to understand that. It's cold weather. It's a rivalry game. Detroit should win, and I like Detroit to win the game. But you just got to be careful, and you got to realize if I market and you're looking on my picks, and I might have them as a $700 pick, which is a pretty strong pick. That's laying 1.5. Now if the spread goes to 4, it's not a $700. It's maybe a $300 or $400 pick. So you've got to be careful what the line is, and you've got to be careful of barometers. That's how I'm picking, based on the line. The lower the line, the better the line is for us. Oh, excuse me. The better the line is for us, the less risk. The less risk, the more we bet, the more we like it. When the line changes and it's a higher line and it's going against us, that's more risk. More risk, we don't want to bet as much. So you've got to keep that in mind. Next game, Atlanta, New Orleans. New Orleans laying 6, 6.5, 7. Over-under 56. Howard, why are you talking about over-unders? Because over-unders in this game, I think, is the play. Can you really look at the game, Atlanta, New Orleans, give me a score. Anybody? Give me a score of the game. I can see 24-20. I can see 35-31, but I honestly couldn't tell you who's going to win. However, you have the 2 worst defenses in the league. You're in New Orleans in a dome, so you're going to get good weather. You have 2 very good quarterbacks. Breeze is an elite, and Matt Ryan's okay. Julio Jones will probably play because it's a playoff game. So this game should be competitive and should be high scoring. Therefore, I like going over the 50. The trend is New Orleans in the game. If you really want to play the team, I would take New Orleans even. New Orleans and the favorite are 10-0 in New Orleans, meaning New Orleans is always favored at home, and they always cover at home, they always win at home. That trend, New Orleans, here's what I was talking about with trend changes. New Orleans was unbelievable as a home favorite for the last 2-3 years. And all of a sudden, they've lost 4 games in a row at home. They're killing the trend. But you have to be able, now I've got to be able to stop and say, okay, the trend's changed. New Orleans is not 12-1 as a home favorite anymore. Now they're 12-5. There's no trend there anymore. The trend's going the other way. Now, who's the team? This is a playoff game. Are they going to win? Well, it's against Atlanta. This is why I can't. The risk has increased because you don't know who you're getting because their defense is terrible. Therefore, without the defense, take the play over. New England laying 10 to the Jets. I like the game, but I don't love the game. Even though New England needs the win, and they will get the win, the problem is when they play the Jets twice a year in New York, the games are 3-4 point games. They do not blow out the Jets as you would think. Now this year is a little different. New England is finding their defense and they're finding the running game. The problem with New England the last few years, why they haven't won the Super Bowl, is they haven't been able to run the ball. They're one-dimensional. It's Brady passing. As you saw last year with Manning passing, you play a good defense, it doesn't matter. They can rest the passer and cover. I don't care who you have, you're not going to be able to win unless you can be two-dimensional, run and pass. That's been New England's problem, and their defense has been weaker. They've shored up their defense with Rivas, and they've gotten some running now, and look out, they look very good. So I like New England here. They will win because they have to get that. This is for the bye. Next week will be to clinch the 1 seed. You bet them both weeks, but because you're laying 10, and it's against the Jets, who they always play twice a year, and they never really blow out, very rarely, you must respect that and be very careful with this game. So this game is a very, it's a medium play, but not a long play. The spread was 7 or 8, this would be a lock, but at 10, too many points, they play close games. Just lay the 4. Here would be a case for a 10-point teaser. People ask me, should I play it? And I usually say 6 points fine. This would be a case I would play like Green Bay in a 10-point teaser, maybe with Detroit, maybe with New England, and maybe with San Diego. That would be my 10-point teaser. I could understand that. Then it would make sense because they're laying too many. The points are New England laying 7, now is laying 10. Green Bay should be laying 7s, laying 12. You just have too big of a number for this, and the 10-point teaser makes sense in this situation. These teams have to win for the playoffs. They're playing bad teams, but the spreads are so high. Now, they certainly could win. New England could win 42-0, and it wouldn't surprise me with New York's quarterback. And New York will look to run the ball, of course, and that's all they have. And they'll try to pressure Brady and play a good defense. They see him enough, so it's not a big thing. So you just be careful with this one. Carolina laying 3 to Cleveland. I'd like if Anderson played, not Newton, because I think Anderson's a better quarterback. The trend here is Carolina. I don't love this game at all. I would play 1 or 2 units on it at most. I guess I would take Carolina. If Johnny Manziel is starting, I would definitely take Carolina. But I can't trust Carolina. They'll win small, but they're again a 4 or 5 win team. They're not very good this year. They have no receivers, so you just be careful with that. Here you're betting more against Manziel and Newton. Baltimore at Houston. Be very careful with Baltimore here. Road favorite. They're not a big road favorite. They're not a very good one. Houston, I get it. Their quarterback's out, but I don't mind Casey Keenum. He's not bad. He did play a little bit. They're at home. They have a strong defense, Houston. Baltimore had trouble with Jacksonville last week. This is not a good spot to play Baltimore. Baltimore is a great road dog, as we've seen, as we bet them and locked them against Miami. And Baltimore is a great home favorite. They're the best home favorite in the league. But not as a road favorite. And again, this is where I'm coming up with. Be careful of the road favorites. So you already have Green Bay, Detroit, New England, and Baltimore now as road favorites. You have to be very careful. I'm going to add Buffalo to that list because I see they're also the road favorite. You must be careful. If you play them, Baltimore needs to win to get in the playoffs. They're not that strong of a team. They're a middle-of-the-pack team, so just because they need it doesn't mean they'll get it. You seem to be very tough at home and with that defense. So be careful there. Again, I wouldn't. Baltimore is the trend, and you got Keenum, so I could see playing Baltimore, but very, very small. We'll just continue with Buffalo laying 6 to Oakland. Same thing. I would not. I'm not running out and playing Buffalo as a road favorite. I don't care. They're not that strong. They're a good home team. They beat Green Bay, but here at Oakland, they beat Kansas City, and they had another upset at home. I can't remember who they beat. San Francisco. So they beat San Francisco and Kansas City at home. Frisco I know is terrible, but Kansas City's pretty good. So Buffalo, I don't see them walking into Oakland and easily posting a win. No, I'll do the same thing. Give me the score of the Buffalo-Oakland game, and you can't give it to me. You can't tell me Buffalo 23-10. You can't tell me Oakland 23-10. You can't tell me the score because it's too unknown. It's too much risk. Why play that game? Here's what I'm thinking. You don't get rewarded for playing Buffalo as a road favorite. There's no reward. It's not like you win 10-1 if you take Buffalo as a road favorite versus taking New England as a road favorite, right? It's the same. It's the same. If we're playing a teaser here, it's 11-10, let's say. So for the 110 to win 100, that's the same risk with New England as it is with Buffalo. So why do I want to play Buffalo when I can play New England? And that's my point. You look for the best games on the board. In this Buffalo game, who cares? So they need the game for the playoffs. They're an 8-7 team. Who cares? They're not. This is not a game. If Oakland wins the game, would you be surprised if Oakland pulls the upset after beating Frisco and Kansas City? No. So just lay away. Huge game. Seattle laying 7 over Arizona. I love Seattle in this game. Chop them down. I think you can still get them at 7.5. Cut them to 1.5. Here, I would normally be playing Arizona if Drew Stanton was the quarterback. I would be playing Arizona in the 13, 14 points. They're an extremely strong road dog. However, you can't just play the trend. You have to also play the factors. The fact with Ryan Lindell at quarterback, and then if you go to Logan Thomas is terrible. He was terrible at Virginia Tech. Why they drafted this guy and they even think about playing him, you've got to be out of your mind. I don't get it. If he was any good, Virginia Tech would have been a better team, right? Quarterback controls the game, the team. So if Logan Thomas gets in there, it's a shutout for Seattle. Yeah, Arizona's got a good defense, but Seattle's beat them 19-3 in Seattle. They know how to beat the defense. Big game. Seattle's been there before, as I've said. They know how to win it. Arizona's handicapped with the quarterback situation, and their running backs out, Ellington. Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald will play hurt with the knee. He'll take a shot. But I like Seattle laying 1.5. It's a money game. They have to win. I don't like going against Arizona as a home dog, and this is the only case is because they're at the third-string quarterback. And you must understand that. The trend is with Carson Palmer or maybe with Drew Stanton. That's Arizona as a strong home team, a strong home dog for the last 2-3 years with a good quarterback. Without the quarterback, they're not the same trend. The trend, you can't say the trend's there with Carson Palmer is the same trend with Ryan Lindell. It can. It's not the same trend. Yeah, they beat the Rams. The Rams don't have the running attack Seattle does. They don't have the same quarterback, same coach, same defense. The Rams are getting better. I mean, I do like Trey Mason, their running back, but he's not Marshawn Lynch. They haven't been there before. And I don't care. I know Arizona was mad. They were a road dog, and we had them last week. But not this time. This time, as a home dog, they're going to need 2 or 3 picks from Patrick Peterson. Honey Badger, I believe, is out. Cromartie, I believe, is out. They're playing hurt. They might play, but they clinched the division. Seattle needs the win to get into the playoffs. Seattle will win this game, and I can see Seattle winning 19-3 again, or 7. They'll probably get 16, 17 points. Probably a great under, even though the under is 37. Here's where in a 10-point teaser, I'd say under 47. But I like Seattle, laying the 1.5. Seattle wins this game. There's no question. Denver laying 3 to Cincinnati. I like Denver here. As far as I know, Peyton Manning's playing. I know his hip was bothering him. I don't know what he's doing making a block on a linebacker last week. I mean, what is he thinking? He should just be lying down on the ground after he hands the ball off. Money game, you got to take Manning. Cincinnati doesn't win money games. Take Denver plus the 3. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 locks going. I've given you 2 of them, but you'll have to figure that out. 2 more going, and beautiful day for A nice 6-7 teaser. I know online it's very hard to bet those. I'll be in Vegas for the next week and a half, so I'll be there for this week, and then next week I won't have a video. I might have a video. I'll be returning Saturday, so I might be able to do a Saturday video for Sunday's games. But basically, the key is the playoffs, the team that need it, the teams clinching the 1 seed and the 2 seed, and the byes are critical. Those are critical games, and you must take advantage of those games. So that's what you're looking for. But I could easily, from what I told you, you can easily play San Diego, Green Bay, Detroit, New England, the over in the New Orleans game, Seattle, Denver in a teaser, and you can play all that. And if you buy, then you'd have also 2 locks that I haven't given you, and you could play those in a teaser with these games here. Teams that are hot in this teaser. So the playoff, the number 1 seeds, New England and Denver. The number 1 seeds on the NFC are basically Arizona, Seattle game, and then Green Bay, Dallas, Detroit. So I'm not sold on Green Bay, Dallas, Detroit, but the Arizona, Seattle one is the number 1 seed in my mind. So you got that. So those are the key games there. Teams that are hot in the teaser. These are the play teams. These are the ones that are there. Minnesota, Philadelphia, Arizona is really hot but without the quarterback. Indy, Denver, San Diego, Kansas City, New England, and Seattle have been very strong in this year, and if you combine it with 2013. Teams that are play against teams. Tampa Bay, San Francisco, the Giants, Atlanta, Tennessee, and Jacksonville, and they've already played, and they covered each other. Washington, the New York Jets, Jets, Minnesota, Houston, Oakland, and Cleveland. Those are the teams that you would play against. So you can see San Francisco, which was a play team, is a play against team. You see Minnesota, they're on both lists, which can happen in a teaser. So they play a lot of close games where they barely win or they barely lose, and you can play them, you win, you play against them, you win. That's just the way they're playing. Usually teams with good defenses and a decent Teddy Bridgewater, so they look pretty good there. They'll keep the game close. So outside of that, that's Teaserking week 16. Again, week 17, if the team needs it for the win. If New England and Denver both win, you pound New England and Denver next week. I don't know who they're playing. I would think they're playing, I think Denver's at home against Oakland. If Denver needs that game for the number 1 seed, and them and New England are tied, that spread's going to be 21 points. That would be ridiculous. But basically, that's what you're looking for, is teams that must win, and the best teams that must win, and they cover. Very rarely does a very good playoff solid team who needs a game loses unless they play the number 2 seed. So if Denver were playing New England next week, okay, all bets are off. But if Denver's got Oakland and New England's got, I don't know, Buffalo or some weaker team, you pound them. They're going to blow them out. So we did it last year, so we're looking for it again this year. All right, we'll come to www.teaserking.com, and good luck. And again, you must watch the point spread. If this Green Bay spread keeps jumping and it gets over 7, I wouldn't even play the game. There's many others to play. There's very good dogs to play. You don't need that game. Play San Diego, Seattle. Those are very good games to play. Put New England in it. Put, maybe Detroit, I don't know. But if Detroit gets too high, put Denver in the teaser. But don't sit there and keep playing, well, I'm going to play Green Bay because they lost to Buffalo, they have to win. Yeah, that's fine at a 7-8 point spread, but now if it hits 12, 13 points, it's ridiculous. Unless Tampa, all their quarterbacks are out or something. So be very careful, and you must adjust your bet accordingly. You can't blindly bet, and you must know the roles. You can't blindly bet these road teams, Buffalo, Baltimore, Carolina, the New Orleans Atlanta game. You can't just blindly bet these games. You've got to understand their roles, and it's very hard to play a road favorite here. The NFL, this isn't college. College, you can play Florida State over North Carolina at North Carolina and get away with it. You can't. It's not that easy in the pros. Green Bay, Tampa. I'm just telling you, just be careful with it. There's many better games to play. And Green Bay will probably, they could win 35 to nothing, and that's fine. But we got to make the bets before the game, not after. So you got to be very careful. Anyway, have a great weekend. Merry Christmas, everybody. I deeply appreciate everybody that has comments to me and listens and emails me and asks me for advice and everything else. I'm very glad I'm here and glad to help you. I can't just give away lock picks, just so you understand that. If you do email me and say, hey, what's your lock? I can't give it away. I mean, I am doing a business, but I am doing a service. So if you give me a question on a game, who do you like in the, I've given you most of the games who I like. So if you say, who do you like in the St. Louis Giant game, I would tell you, I'll take the Giants or take St. Louis. I'm not sure who I would tell you, but I will give you an opinion on it. But I'd probably say, don't bet that game. Take Seattle. Take Denver. They need the game. They have to win. Well, anyway, Merry Christmas. Happy Holidays. Off to Vegas. I'll be at Teasers watching the game, so if you are in Vegas and stop by Teasers, say hello. Or I'll be at the Venetian Poker Room, so if you are in either of those places, stop by and say hello. All right, everybody. Have a great week. Great Christmas. I hope I can make you some nice Christmas presents here. Okay, bye. There's 3 or 4 locks going this week, and last week I hit my locks. I think the last 4 weeks I've hit my locks. The Green Bay Atlanta one was a kind of a push, but basically I've been really pounding my locks where everything's much clearer now, much easier to pick. All right, everybody, have a great time, great weekend. Thank you.